Hey guys, Tammy here, and in this video we're going to talk about 3 apps or tools that we can use to communicate with a narcissistic co-parent. These are very common things that the court orders these a lot, and I think even for me sometimes I start talking to clients and I'm like, "Well, what app are you using?" And they're like, "What?" Like if they're new to this process, a lot of times they don't even know this exists. So you may know that these exist, you may not know these exist, but I'm going to tell you what my personal 3 favorites are. I'm going to give you a little bit of insight into each of those apps. And then I'm going to explain when we see the court order those most commonly. And I'm going to tell you what to do if you do have an order for it and your co-parent refuses to use it. That's a common problem too. So before we dive in, as always, let me just remind you, if you like this content, don't forget to hit like on the video. And also, if you're one of the 70% who isn't subscribed that's watching this video, please subscribe to the channel so that you get notified as new videos are released. All right. As always, please feel free to share this on social media. Such an epidemic problem, honestly, of people dealing with narcissistic and high conflict co-parents in trying to co-parent their children, and it's really a struggle. So my 3 favorite apps, and I will tell you that these are also the 3 that we most commonly see the court order, and there's many, like more people have come on board with this, but like when I got divorced 20 years ago, there wasn't really a parenting app. That wasn't a very common thing. There might have been, just the one, but it wasn't something we saw utilized a lot, and now it's something that we see highly utilized in high conflict cases. And OurFamilyWizard, and their website is OurFamilyWizard.com. They're sort of the Mac Daddy, right? They're the OG, right? They're the original ones that existed. They're very robust. They've been around the longest. They are by far my favorite, and they are also the most expensive. Now, when I say that, they're not I don't feel like parenting apps are terribly expensive on the whole as a product, but this is the higher end of them, okay? So OurFamilyWizard, I believe at the time of this recording, is about $100 per year per party, okay? So per co-parent. And what happens is when you go into OurFamilyWizard, there is a messaging section, and then the messages are sorted by threads. So like, let's say you're communicating about school, you can put the topic and you can say school, fall of 2025. And then that's what that whole thread is in that particular message. And then if you do a different issue, like child sick today or whatever, and then that's a separate thread. So it breaks it up by subject matter, which is really, really helpful. And it does pop in date order. It's just that it's sort of like an email inbox. You can see your different subject lines, which at least gives you some compartmentalizing, some sorting of the different topics. The other thing that they have is they have a shared calendar. And so you can put all of the children's schedules, appointments, extracurriculars, whatever it is on there. And it's very, very helpful between the 2 households, because then you're not having to call and say, hey, so-and-so has a doctor's appointment on, this date at this time and all that. You go in, you put it on the calendar. Other parents are responsible for looking at the calendar, or they get a notice that you put it in there or whatever. And then everybody knows, and you don't have to have that specific communication. There's also a journaling section, which I think is helpful. You can set it to be private, to where you can go in and make your own private journal notes about specific incidences or messages or whatever occurs. And when your children are old enough, you can actually give them access to like the calendar portion of it. You can limit, obviously you don't want them having access to your communication with the other parent, but you can give them access to like the calendar portion, where they can go in and add their own things to that calendar for both parents to be aware. And then the most recent feature that's kind of come online is the phone call aspect of it. You can do video calls through it. You can do audio calls through it. It records them all. So when one parent is either parent, I should say, or both parents, whatever, are allowed video calls with the child, audio calls with the child. If the child's particularly young, I think, this is helpful before they have a phone and all that kind of stuff. to where you can record the conversations and everything. And a lot of times with high conflict situations, the court will order that you can record the calls. So there's rules in the various states about recording and all that kind of stuff. But so there is a function in OurFamilyWizard that will handle that. And so it's just really robust. It has a lot of features. And the other thing that I like about it is you can actually grant professional access. So you can actually give your attorney access. My coaching clients a lot of times will give me access. And that way, when they have a question on a message, I'm able to go in and actually read the thread and say, okay, respond this way, don't respond this way, whatever. And it can be a lot of support and be really helpful. That is by far my favorite and the most robust. The next option, the next most popular, which is these are kind of the second players to the field. They were the ones that kind of came on not too long after OurFamilyWizard, and that is TalkingParents. TalkingParents back in the day, right, used to be free, and you had to pay to print out copies of your messages. And in OurFamilyWizard, you don't have to pay. It's free, right? You just print it and it comes with your subscription. TalkingParents separated that out and said, okay, if you want to print, we charge you, but otherwise it's free. Well, now they've gone away from that, and now they actually have varying tiers. So you have different features for different price points per month. And I think their lowest price point is around $5-6 a month, up to, I don't know how high it goes, maybe $20 a month or whatever. And so there's a range there based on the features that you want. Do you want to be able to print out messages? Do you want to be able to do all these things? Now, it also, I believe, has functions for recording calls and all that kind of thing. It does not have a professional access function yet, to my knowledge. Okay. So as of the time of this recording. So there are, a couple things that it doesn't quite have the same, but definitely still pretty robust, still a really good option for a lot of people. Does sort the threads by topic and all that kind of thing, which makes it easier to stay organized. The third one that I see used most commonly is an app called AppClose, AppClose. This one is totally free. Okay. And so this is why courts order this one sometimes, or the parents agree to it, because it is totally free. So when you can't, if one parent can't afford it or it's a problem, then this is the one that we see opted for a lot of times. It doesn't have any of the other bells and whistles. It's really just the communication piece, and it doesn't sort it into threads. So it's just one long run on with the dates and just run on conversation. So it can get a little bit tedious when you're trying to go back through and search for specific issues, especially if you have a lot of communication between you and the other parent. It can get into hundreds of pages. I've had clients that produce 1,000 pages within like a 6-month period. I mean, it can get really crazy. So depending on the other person and how high conflict they are, that can be a challenge. So that might be a reason to think about, a paid app versus the free app because of that issue. Now, on these, sometimes the court will order it. And what they do is if they see that there's a lot of conflict between the parents, or the messaging is really nasty, one parent or both parents are attacking each other, whatever, a lot of times they will order that the parents use a parenting app. And sometimes I have people that come back and say, well, there's an order, but the other parent won't use it. And I'm going to tell you what you do in that case. Now, I'm kind of working on the assumption that you're not communicating verbally. I always say no answering the phone. You want to not do face-to-face interaction, as if you don't have to, like avoid it as much as possible. If you have an order for one and they won't use it, then you have to kind of wait it out. And so what you have to do is, when you get a message from them, text or email, you say, please send your message in the parenting app. And then they're going to come back with blah, blah, blah. And you say, please send your message in the parenting app. And that's literally the only sentence you use with them until they transition over to the parenting app. And again, is this one of those issues that can maybe cause problems for you? It might. You might communicate about a different exchange time or something through the app, and they may not show up and they may not whatever. And you have to let those things happen. And is it going to cause chaos for you? Yep. And are you going to have a backup plan? Yep. Because this is the only way that you can prove that they're defying a court order and that they aren't on board, with trying to co-parent and do what they need to do. So I tell people literally the only phrase you say to them is, please send your message through the parenting app until they comply. And then you never allow them to step outside of that. If they are using the app, but they once in a while will text you, then your only response to that text is, please send your message through the parenting app. Okay. You got to hold those boundaries, and you got to hold them consistently. All right. Consistent boundaries. I think that might be my phrase I'm going to pound on for the year 2025. Consistent boundaries. So important in dealing with a narcissistic co-parent. Okay, so if you'd like to learn more about these techniques, how you can get some support from me, you can go to divorceuniversityonline.com/VIP-coaching. There is information on that page where you can learn more about my group and one-on-one programs, figure out which one would be a good fit for you, and, be able to enroll or book a call with me or whatever you need to do to be able to get the support that you need. All right. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you guys next time.
We'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the horizon, turn us to thousands.